This is the welcome sign I made for the house last summer. You can see that the writing is starting to fade quite a bit, and that's just because I used stain to write in all the letters. And you can also see that it's starting to cup a little bit on the side here. So in this video, I'm going to make a new sign from a 2x4 using only hand tools. I started by cutting off two 18-inch sections of the 2x4, and I'm going to use those sections to make the main panel of the sign. Now I'm planing off the roundover off of both pieces so that I can joint them together. Once the glue dried, I again planed one of the edges so that I could resaw the board and then join those two boards together to get the final size of my panel. Now the panel is mostly done, I just need to clean it up a bit. I ended up having to take off more than I would have liked because my pull saw warped a bit in the middle, and in retrospect a back saw would have given me a cleaner cut. But anyways, I used a block plane and a card scraper to flatten everything. Like I said in the beginning, the old sign is starting to cup, so to try to prevent that this time, I'm going to breadboard the ends, and to do that I cut off a 13-inch section of the 2x4. I planed the roundover off of this section, and then cut two 1-inch wide strips to make the end pieces. The end pieces ended up only being about 3/4 of an inch once I got them all flat. Next I used my combination plane to cut a 1/4-inch groove in each piece to accept the panel. The panel itself is not a 1/4 inch thick, so I used a rabbiting plane to get the edges down to 1/4 of an inch. Breadboard ends ended up fitting very well, and now I can start carving in my design, but first I have to draw it all out. Now I'm painting over the sign, and when the paint dries, I can sand off everything and it'll just leave the carving black. A card scraper would have left a smoother finish when getting the paint off, but the corners kept falling into the carving, if that makes sense, so I just had to use sandpaper, which still worked well. And kind of as an afterthought, I wanted to curve the ends, so I used my spoke shave to do that. That is basically it for that part, so I moved on to making the support pieces that let the sign stand up. And to do that, I cut off two 12-inch sections of 2x4 to make those. If you couldn't tell, I'm kind of making this up as I go along. So I made something up and marked out what I wanted the leg supports to look like. I used my pull saw to get the majority of the waste, and then used the curved side of my spoke shave to shape it the rest of the way. I want the sign to lean back on the supports, so I cut the ends off at a 10-degree angle. Next, I marked out and cut a tenon on the end of each support using my dovetail saw. Next, I cut out the mortise in the sign, and I did that with just a marking knife and a chisel. Now I can finally glue in the supports, and the mortise and tenons ended up fitting very well. This was probably my best fit yet. I finished everything with amber shellac, which I really like the look of. So I put on a couple of coats and sanded in between each coat.